Thank you so much, Paige. So, what is JOGL? First, JOGL is this massive experiment. We're definitely going into a very different kind of era thanks to digital technologies. Communities are getting structured, more powerful every day, more impactful, and so it means also that science and technology can be impacted by those communities, but we need to create a new kind of framework to help those communities to thrive. And that's exactly what JOGL is to experiment first about what can we provide communities so that they are as efficient and impactful as possible, and while they use and share their information and their technology they're working on. So it's it's a beautiful experiment, and we are very glad that you're part of it. It's just the very beginning, and it's really all about learning and solving together. And JOGL is also mostly tackling two main broad blocks. First is we need to liberate capacity to take initiatives. It's very hard, not only for citizens, but also for professionals to be able to go from one idea to a real project. It can take sometimes years. Access to resources, access to collaborators, to get just the authorization. Sometimes the paths can be very convoluted. So we're here actually to change this. Like, you don't need to go through so many steps. If you want to share an idea, you want to create a team to work around it, you can just join JOGL, find your team partners, you can find resources that are there, and you can start right away. Test your idea, get evaluated, by the community, and if the community likes it, there you go. You have access to resources, and you can move forward. So that's one of the very big things that we are trying to change with JOGL. The other roadblock is to increase the diversity and the number of contributors to open science and technology. So far, when you look at the number of contributors to published science compared to the world population, it's very, very small. It's like 1 person for every 1,000, and it's mostly because we're only giving the tools to work around science and technology to people who went through like very long paths to become researchers, for example. And so that's all right, but it's not enough. Like, we have so much more problems to work on. So many communities out there that are not actually considered. Many problems are just too small, or are just not part of the places where big institutions are, especially in non-Occidental countries. So that how can we make sure that every community has a chance to work on their own problem and benefit from the same conditions, the same quality of tools and services that normal researchers have in order to work around their problems. That's really one thing that we want to do, is to increase the diversity and the number of contributors. And we think that we can do it by multiplying, by providing access to anyone to JOGL. Anyone can be a member, anyone can join any project, proposal projects. And so, there is no reason, when you look at the numbers, there is about 1 billion people at least that went to some kind of higher education school. So there is no reason that we cannot actually tap into that potential. There is something we're missing here, and we want to change this. So what an amazing year again. And so we're going to share some highlights about our second year, and this is going to be first about the community itself. The community has been growing. We are now almost 6,000, and from so many countries. I think it's getting closer to 100 different countries, and we clearly saw a growth specifically in non-Occidental countries like South America, Africa, and Asia, and we're so happy about that, because this is really what we're trying to achieve here, is to be a global community with no any frontiers. So we are really happy about that, and we'll be talking about how the kind of work we're doing to push this work even further with the creation of regional chapters too. And to give you a bit more details about how this community is growing, first, it's kind of funny when you look at the first panel here on the left, it's really like the growth of the jugglers, the JOGL users since the very beginning. You can clearly see three phases. The first phase of, we were just a very small platform, a few hundred people were testing things out, and then COVID happened. And then this explosive growth, COVID has been for us a crazy situation and a way to test if the vision of JOGL was the right one. And I think we succeeded at proving that community-based, community-driven science innovation was the right choice. And then once that the COVID got started to slow down, we entered a new phase of growth that is also steadily. And we also expect to start a new phase after this launch, as now we'll be able to welcome external communities to the platform too. So we look forward to this. And then we have the project. We also have a steady growth in a number of projects, amazing projects. Again, we're always so excited to see what you're able to come up with. And finally, the number of interactions. It's really impressive to see that since the beginning of JOGL, there has been more than 80,000 interactions that happen on the platform. So it's really mind-blowing when you think about it. So it's been a proof of success to us. And we want to push this even further. Another aspect of the community is the diversity of its skills. And it's really mind-blowing again. We have, it could be, a lot of communities are centered around one domain. It could be medicine, could be data science, but here you got almost everything. From machine learning to mechanical engineering to synthetic biology or social sciences, 3D printing, etc., and design. So what it means is you can come to JOGL and you'll always be able to find someone who'll be able to help you on whatever project you want to start. So that's really key. Then finally, it's really. The Open COVID-19 initiative has been the perfect experiment to better understand how we can structure JOGL in order to make it truly scalable, that to achieve the goals I just talked about previously. And I want to show you some of the key experiments that we've been doing. The first one is to implement a community-driven peer review process. That's something that has been missing for communities for a very long time. That's something that has been the rule, the golden rule in science for generations. It's how do you create trust? How do you make sure that you are able to support the project that are well structured and are going to be able to have an impact? So that due diligence process is really key. And so we've implemented that in Open COVID-19, and the results have been really, really outstanding, and just showing how trustful the community can be when you rely on a process that is just collective intelligence here. So there is no grant panel. Anyone can apply. The applicants have to be part of the review process too, very important. So you're not just being a client, asking for help or money. You have to be part of the process. And then at the end, there is a score that is transparent, that is given to all projects. And based on that score for feasibility and impact, you get supported or not. And again, if you're not supported, you can try again at the next round review. So that's been very successful. And thanks to this, we've been able to allocate grants. So JOGL has been able to get funding to foundations like the AXA Research Fund, and we didn't want to be the one deciding who is more worth to get the funding than others. So thanks to this community-driven open peer reviewing process, we've seen more than 110,000 euros allocated to 36 projects over about a year and a half since the very beginning of Open COVID-19. And out of those projects already, what we've seen is 6 papers being published in peer-reviewed journals and 22 functional solutions. So it's like the output, the yield of the community is really impressive. Another data that is also very important and make us really proud here of this community is the fact that 42%, almost half of the projects were led by a woman. And that is so key when you know the statistics, you know, in institutional science or in the startup world, it's striking, you know, and we are usually more used to numbers that are around the 10–15%. So this is it just shows how healthy the JOGL community is, and also the fact that projects that were funded came from 19 countries, from 4 continents. So it's a truly worldwide initiative here. Really amazing. Among the, you know, the 36 funded projects also span across a lot of different kind of activities and goals. You know, they're all open source, obviously, as this is JOGL. And so we have, you know, projects working on misinformation campaigns, COVID-19 prevention, such as like for masks, a lot of diagnostics, you know, using either biotechnology for diagnosis tests, but also data science, data-based diagnostics, for example, treatment with a lot of medical hardware, education, also where, you know, where, for example, to do like citizen science, or to help teachers to interact with students during the pandemic, and also research projects and especially social science research projects. So it's been really amazing to see the diversity and how you know, generic the JOGL approach has been for all of those projects. And just as to get a little bit deep here for the open peer reviewing process, I'm just going to invite Chris to tell us more about, okay, you know, to incorporate, to implement such a process is very new. So we need to be able to evaluate if that process is good or not. So I think that we've been doing some analysis, and Chris is going to tell us more about that.
Yeah. So basically, applicants review other applicants, and also volunteers can review as well if they have enough reviews. And the first 4 review rounds, we had 220 reviews, and then the very last round, the most recent one, we had an incredible response, and another 221 reviews. So in total, we've had hundreds of reviews for projects. And when you analyze the data, you actually realize that maybe you'd expect applicants to be harsh against other applicants, and they wouldn't score them as well in our review forms. But in fact, they review them just the same, which is really, really cool. And what's also really cool is the evaluation form separates projects well. So when you look at the form and give a big PCA of where they all spread, actually they're very diverse. And then among these projects and among all the reviews, what you find is every question and the question for each project, they have a positive correlation with each other. So people agree that projects are good if they're really good, and they agree that they're bad if they're not quite as good on certain questions. And so actually it's a very fair process, and it's centered around the projects themselves. And we're writing a paper, and we've got a manuscript almost ready to submit this. So yeah, it's really cool, and thanks everyone for taking part.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's something that we're going to develop much more in the coming months, so that it becomes even more integrated into JOGL, and it becomes also available to other initiatives that will be hosted on JOGL. So look forward to this. I really encourage you to go and check out the project catalog of the Open COVID-19 initiative if you haven't done so far. I mean, projects are mind-blowing. You can really have fun just looking at them, reading about them. But what this means for community science and innovation. First, it's that community-driven science innovation really work, and especially when the right framework is provided. So that's reassuring. You know, we've been dreaming about this. Communities are not new. They've been existing for quite a long time, but being able to gather so many people and have that high quality collaboration and output I think it's clearly a first especially in open biotech. So it's been great. Secondly, it is efficient and scalable at supporting fast development of frugal solutions. So all of the solutions we've seen are what we call frugal. They're meant to be very low cost, they're easy to prototype, and also potentially very easy to locally fabricate. And that's also a very important aspect. So that's another key aspect. The third point is that open peer review fosters high quality collaboration and production within communities. That's great. So it's been one roadblock. As we know, a lot of people want to contribute. They're doing work on the, on their own laboratory, fab labs, maker spaces, or whatever space they are in. But being able to get evaluated by others, it just brings your game higher. And so that was so important. And finally, being able to provide macro grants for extremely fast, and in an iterative manner, like as long as you have good results, you can apply again and be evaluated again. So it really enables the support of very original ideas while limiting the risk. Because if an idea doesn't work, then it's okay, it's documented, and then we can move forward. We didn't actually allocate it like a whole sum of money to one single project, and that's been one of the main limitations also in academia, or sometimes in crowdfunding too. And then what this means for JOGL. So JOGL goal is really to take all the best lessons from Open COVID-19 to implement it at the JOGL level so that everyone can benefit from it. So that's very important. The other point is not only the best practice, but also the same tools. So we are working very hard so that communities can now join JOGL. It's going to be the case. We're going to present this and access the same tools we've been using to create the Open COVID-19 community. So that's going to be very exciting, and we'll be also continuing working on better tools for that. The other point is we're going to shift from being program centered. That's how we started. We created programs. Open COVID-19 was originally a program to being more community centered. So the goal is really to build communities that are going to be working to a more like specific thematics, and they're going to be able to help each other and to also being able to assist communities that are coming to be hosted on JOGL. And finally, well, to really make the point, and I think we already have made it through Open COVID-19, but we have to make it even bigger, that community-driven science innovation is a path as legitimate as academia and corporate innovation. And so it's so important. And so this is becoming a true alternative for people who want to do science innovation, but without actually getting in the specific constraints of academia or corporations. All right, and now the big time. I'm going to give the microphone to Leo, co-founder and CTO of JOGL, and he's going to tell us about what has been going on in the background about how we actually have built a whole new version of JOGL, the JOGL Beta 2.0. Leo, here's yours.
Yep, I'm here. Can you go to the next slide? I'll
Sure.
start talking. Cool. Nope.
Oops.
Not the previous one, the next one.
Yeah, my bad.
No worries. Cool. Okay, so I'm here to talk about the amazing work of all the people you are seeing on that screen. And all of that amazing work is scrolling in a very laggy, glitchy way, which looks even better now than it was meant to be in the background. So this is the work of like about a year now, a bit less than a year from Beta 1, which was released last JOGL anniversary for anyone that remembers. And so since then, a lot of new people have joined the team, and I've left the team as well to new adventures. And a large amount of work has been done, and most of it, what you're seeing that's, you know, like scrolling behind is actually invisible. It's like tweaks and bugs and ameliorations into like, you know, code improvement and speed and things like this. So I wanted to, you know, like at least start by giving a shout out to all that work that was done. But then I'm actually going to just, you know, go into and focus onto specific aspects of Beta 2 that I'm going to present today. Just know it's not the entire thing, but that's what I think you should be aware of, at least at the moment, that we're bringing in, you know, and that's new. Next slide, Thomas, please. Cool. And so first off, we are bringing a new homepage. So JOGL is getting a fresh look, and this fresh look is a new, more sexy homepage, which presents the team in a better manner, but also a job opportunities, you know, and a quick access to the different locations that you might want to visit that we are offering, such as our blog. Next. And in that regard, one of the most exciting features we have now is actually an onboarding. So now on JOGL, you can follow a nice tutorial. This tutorial is actually going to take you through the entire platform and show you, you know, the different aspects and the different actions you can take. Because this is one of the hardest things for us is, how do we make JOGL accessible to everyone, right? If we want to have thousands of people participating in open science and innovation, we need you to understand what to do and how to do it. We need you to understand what you can do with JOGL. And so for that, you know, we bring you the new onboarding. Next. And so the next thing that I'm gonna, you know, like talk about right now is something that has been in the work since 2017, I think, at least. It's like since the very inception of the idea of JOGL between Thomas, Mark, and I, when we were discussing in Boston under like nice trees in the summer, we were like, okay, like if we want this to work, we need this to actually provoke serendipity between people. We need to be able to induce recommendations such that users and projects and needs and skills are all connected in a way that actually works to make open science faster, better, and more sustainable for everyone. And so this is Rexus. Rexus is a recommendation engine. So it uses the underlying network of how the web within JOGL is created, right? This is like how the little spiders inside or algorithms are working. They're connecting objects together, and those objects, this connection and those objects, we can then use that to create recommendation for you, the user, at the center of that, right? And so we have created two things. One, which is the email, which you have probably seen coming for a few months now in your inboxes, where we propose every other week 2 needs that you might be interested in helping solve in JOGL. And now we are also injecting recommendation within the platform itself. And so as time will come, you will see more and more of those recommended objects popping up in many different locations across the platform, so that, you know, the best experience can be tailored to your skills, your envies, and your, you know, the thing that you've participated before and the thing you might not even think yet of participating, but actually you should. And that hopefully will be what Rexus will induce. Next. Then a small but actually quite important little feature that was created by a collaborator of JOGL, that is a benevolent collaborator, that she's not employed by us, but she created this little applet which now lets you take an iframe. What does that mean? That means you can now take JOGL cards and put it on your website or your blog or anywhere on the web, and you can display those cards wherever you wish, which is great because for communication purposes in your hackerspace or in your community, you can now inject those little cards and they will look amazing on your site and bring your community back to the place that it needs to go. Next. And talking about cards, we now have a beautiful refreshed look, because now that you can export those cards better look amazing, right? And so Lucy, our designer, made this like beautiful redesign of all of our cards so that the information that's on there and the look and feel of those cards is maximized for impact. Hopefully, at least that's what we want. And the last and new card that you're gonna see is Spaces. And Spaces is a and so Space is what we now bring to you, the main tool for you, the communities of JOGL, to organize around a particular topic or a particular space, like a hacker space, for example, that you might have. Right? And with this, you can create activities, you can organize projects.
Leo, you please go on mute.
Something muted me. Sorry. And so with this, you can basically organize your project, your community. You can organize your communication, tell which resources you might be able to bring, or how to join you physically or virtually. And this, we hope, is going to be the main item that will allow for large communities to exist and organize activities across JOGL, such as challenges, but also bring your events onto JOGL. Next. And so this also comes as you, the community organizer, and we have created a very custom and tailorable item, which is Space. So you have a great, not maybe the easiest to use admin panel yet, but we're working on this, where you'll be able to organize which projects you want to feature on your page, what you want to display on your page. You can create new activities, new challenges, and challenges now can take the form of hackathons or any type that you might want. You can also submit programs that you would like to attach to your space, and for this we still have to work with JOGL. And finally, at the moment, you can add events from Eventbrite. You can organize your community and accept and reject members like you could in previous things. And now you can also handle affiliations. And affiliations are this very important thing, which means that if you have members that you would like to officially endorse as members of your community, you can now affiliate them to your space, which will then in JOGL show them as officially part of your space. Okay, and then finally, next slide. And then finally, I want to introduce one thing that I think has the potential for being extremely important for JOGL to become the central hub for you to organize your community, which is now JOGL can have external apps integrations, right? So using the standards of the web, we can now connect most of the other tools such as Slack, Eventbrite, Google Drive, Kaggle, and others onto JOGL and bring that information. And you just actually saw it with Space, where those events, they're actually hosted on Eventbrite, right? They're not hosted by us, but you can now bring them onto JOGL, display them on JOGL, and share them with your community, right? You can also do this with Slack in the reverse manner. When you post a new need, they'll go onto your Slack and say, hey, you have a new need on JOGL. Things like this. So that's actually been done a year ago, but most people don't know about it. So I'm just shameless plug here that this was done already. We're thinking of adding Google Drive and Kaggle as links to your spaces, but what's more important is that I want you all to make a wish. I want you to tell us what integrations you need, right? Because now that we have this amazing technology in the background, we can actually take almost any other tool out there and bring it onto JOGL, or bring JOGL onto your tool as well and work with you to do that. So please make a wish and tell us, send us an email at contact@jogl.io or come talk to us on the Slack, and we will be able to work with you to try to make this a reality. All right, and that was it for the tech part. Many things to come, amazing roadmap to come for the rest of the year, and I hope you all are excited for it.
Thank you so much, Leo. I think you successfully, just shown how beautiful this collaboration has been in the tech team. We cannot, it's it's been incredible to see so much energy also coming from the outside of the team, having so many volunteers contributing to making us surprises. And so don't hesitate if you want to come and play with us. You're all welcome. Don't hesitate. We have a special framework to help you do that.
I forgot, shameless plug. Well, last one. We have open source code and open source methodologies. We already have volunteers that help us in the code. If you know how to code, you want to help, come and contact us as well.
Awesome. All right. So the next part, before we get into the panels, is to talk more about what we are building to really support even more and grow the community. And so I'm going to call Paige, who is in charge of community and partnerships at JOGL, and she's going to present us what we've been working on. Paige?
Hi, everyone. So you've just seen all of our new features, and as always, those have been shaped by your needs. And as you know, our goal is to create the biggest community of contributors to open science and technology. So we've been working with various communities on JOGL for the launch of Spaces that you heard about earlier. Some of these are here on the Explore page, like you saw. Some will arrive later this summer. And some of you we're waiting to welcome. So please get in touch. Next slide, please. We want to bring your community on board, but it's not a button yet. So you please get in touch at contact@jogl.io or page@jogl.io. And so please let me show you some of the pioneers of this feature. We have After iGEM right here. After iGEM is for anyone who wants to be involved with iGEM beyond their traditional tracks. They've chosen JOGL to host their community, and they've used the activities tabs to structure all their projects around different types of networks like industry or governance and policy. So we'll talk about that later in the panel. Symbio Brazil is a community based in Brazil, and it's centered around synthetic biology as well. On their space, they're actually currently organizing around a symposium that's happening later in July. And so they're posting a bunch of needs where their community can interact around. There we go. Next slide, please. So at JOGL HQ, we've also actually launched a space for our upcoming ambassadors program. We've been thinking about this for a really long time. Open science and tech might be really familiar to all of us here. We really believe in it, but it's still not the norm. So to grow this community, we need to preach the open gospel in the worlds of academia and industry. So that's why we're building this program. We're opening it to early career scientists who can make a mark on their communities and shape the future, really. We want to work with them on central aspects of community building, from hosting events to connecting members or creating content that supports JOGL projects. We want to learn together how we do these things, always better, always with more reach, and always with more impact. There we go. Gemini, it's up to you for JOGL Africa.
All right, thank you so much, Paige. So this is like a central aspect of how we want to really be able to get as close as possible to our community. And Gemini is going to speak about another aspect is about developing regional chapters. Gemini, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Thomas and Paige. As you've seen already, JOGL is doing a lot of fantastic work, building a global community around important issues that affect all of us. And by taking advantage of technologies like the internet, we've been able to make so much impact around the world. But for the impact to be sustainable, place must be taken into consideration. And that is why JOGL's regional program is important. We are very happy in Africa to be the first group to take a stab at doing the regional program. And our focus is on creating the landscape of enabling open science and tech for sustainable development. We have groups like the Africa Open Science and Hardware, for example, who are already doing amazing work. And our role is just to enable them and make sure that the impact that they make scales as far as possible. So like Paige was saying already, just like Paige was saying about spaces, in Africa, we also have the JOGL Africa space, which shows what we're about, some of the projects and initiatives that we've started. So I encourage all of you to have a look and see how you can be part of it. We have our first community initiative already in the works, where we are looking at how to collaboratively fight the scourge of antimicrobial resistance. We are working in partnership with Chris. For example, we have labs in Ghana, the Kumasi Hive Biolab, as well as Mbeya University of Science and Technology in Tanzania as our partners. So again, we have a special space created for the fight against antimicrobial resistance in Africa. I'd finally like to use the opportunity to invite you to join us at our first event, which will be taking place on 21st of July. We'll send you all the information to register and to participate in it. We already have community groups, for example, like Mbwala, who have already created their space on JOGL. We are looking forward to working with others like Innovate Ghana and various communities around Africa who would be interested to use JOGL to power their activities and extend their impact.
Thank you so much, Gamini. And I think this is concluding the first phase of this event. And before we get into the panels, I want actually us to do something a bit fun. It's like a tradition at JOGL. After every global community calls, we've been asking all the participants to activate their video stream so that we can make a screen capture and show like the crowd that has been there and so that we can share this on social media. So we'd like to do the same this time with all of you. So if you can all activate, wow, so I was sharing my screen. I was not actually looking at all of you yet. What a beautiful, beautiful community. Thank you so much again for being here. So yeah, activate your video stream if you can. And I'm going to make a screen capture, and this is going to be so beautiful. You're all absolutely amazing, beautiful. All right, so let's wait 5-10 more seconds. Yes, people are still getting their video streams activated. Awesome. We're almost there. And so at my signal, you can do whatever you want. You can say, hi, happy birthday. You know, you're free to express, you know, your current feeling about this event. All right, so are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And now we're going into the next phase of this event, which is the panels. We're very, very, very happy to have amazing panelists. So I'm just going to share my screen again.